Section 2 of Chapter 3 is on percents. And percent simply means out of 100. Percent means per 100. So if we want to change a percent to a fraction, we simply need to find it as a fraction over 100. So 25% is 25 per 100. So we put it over 100 and simplify. In this case, we have 26%. 26% is 26 per 100, and then we simplify, divide by 2 is 13 over 50, so 13/50ths would be our fraction. If you want to change 9.25, so here this one's a little bit trickier. So you've got 9.25 per 100. You can't really have a fraction and a decimal at the same time. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to move that decimal out of the fraction by moving the decimal the same number in the top and the bottom, the same number of places. So now we have 925 in the numerator. Move your decimal 2 places in the denominator and have 10,000, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And I reduced that earlier just to save time. If you divide by 25 on the top and the bottom, then you end up with 37 over 400. So divide by 25. All right, so just put it over 100. So percent means per 100. Put your number over 100 and then reduce the fraction. If you want to change your percent to a decimal, all you're going to do is move that decimal 2 places to the left, because 26% is 26 per 100. So you need to divide by 100 to get back to how much it is per 1. All right, so 26% to a decimal, just move your decimal 2 places to the left and remove your percent sign. So here we've got, this is our fraction form, this is our decimal form. 9.25%, even though it's going to move it back, you're going to move it 2 places to the left to remove that percent sign. And then if you've moved it to the left, remember you got to fill in that place value. So 0.0925 as a decimal. Remember to drop that percent sign if you're changing it to a decimal. So you would take it off. So now if we have a fraction or a decimal and we want to change it to a percent, well, this is per 1. So if I want per 100, I simply need to multiply by 100% and then simplify whatever my answer is. So if I've got 5/9, that's 5/9 per 1. I want to know per 100, so I'm just going to multiply by 100%, and that's going to equal 500 over 9. And when I reduce that down, oh wait, do I want that? Oh, as a percent. So I'm changing it to a percent. So just take your 500 divided by 9, and you can use your calculator, and you get 55, and it goes on and on and on and on, 55.55555. Round those to the nearest tenth. So that's 1 place to the right of the decimal. So 55.6, and you're changing it to a percent. Same thing if you have a decimal, you're going to multiply by 100%. Remember, when you multiply by a power of 10, you can just move that decimal. So multiplying by 100 moves the decimal 2 places to the right. So you have 240%. All right. You can use these percents in sentences, in percent sentences. And the way we're going to solve those is simply by setting up, we're going to translate word by word by word into equations and then solve them. So if we say 42% of 68 is what number, we're simply going to translate word by word by word, and we're going to say 42%, so 42%. Now, when we're working with percents and we're multiplying and dividing them, you're going to change that from a percent to a decimal. So you're going to move that decimal 2 places to the left. 42% is 0.42. 42% of means times of 68 is what number? And so if you can just translate word by word by word, remember of means times, is means equals. And if you can remember that, you can just set up an equation and solve it. So now 0.42 times 68. So that one you just multiply straight across, and that is x equals 28.56. Just use your calculator, and there you go. The next one's a little bit trickier, but not so much. So we've got 76% of what number is 63.84. So 76%, first you change that to a decimal, 0.76. Of means times. What number? That's our x, that's our unknown. So times our unknown is our equal sign, 63.48. Or 84. Sometimes a little bit dyslexic, it's work. All right, now we've got the x times a number instead of having it be out by itself, but you can solve for this. This is exactly what we've been doing. Divide both sides by 0.76. Plug that into your calculator, so you're going to end up with x equals 84, and you're done. The next one, what percent of 72 is 63? I don't think I needed that to be percent. That just is 63 because it's not a percent. There we go. What percent, so that's our x, of 72, so times 72 is, there's our equal, is 63. And if you wanted to neaten that up, then you just change that to 72x. So 72x equals 63. So when you divide this, you end up with x equal to 0.875. But remember, the question said what percent? So you've got a decimal. You need to change that back to a percent by moving that decimal 2 places to the right. So x equals 87.5%. All right? So depending on where your x is in your sentence, that's going to determine whether you're multiplying or dividing. And so if you simply translate that word by word by word, your of is times, your is equals, put in the numbers, then you can know easily if you're going to multiply straight across or if you're going to divide. All right? That comes in handy because you know that we're going to do word problems next. So here we go. Let's see. Yes, this is the one I want. So a newspaper planned to cut 100 full-time jobs. This 100 people was 6% of their workforce. How many employees did the newspaper have before the layoff? All right, so it's the same thing we just did. What we're going to do is we're going to translate. You got to find, okay, which sentence is the equation? So we've got the 6%. This was 6% of the workforce. So let's translate that into the numbers that we have. So what is this that they're talking about? Well, this is the 100 full-time jobs that they're cutting. So this is 100. This is the same as is. That's our equal sign. This was 6%. 6% is 0.06 if you change it to a decimal. Of is times their workforce. And the workforce is what we don't know, so that's where your x is. So 6% of some number is 100. So we divide by the 0.06. And 100 divided by 0.06, x equals 1,667 if you round it, and you have to have, it's people. So you can't have a sixth of a person there, or a 0.6 of a person. So 1,667 people or employees. Well, how many employees did they have? 1,667 people. All right. So the trick is to find the sentence that is the percent sentence. Translate that and then just solve it. All right. You can also find an increase, a percent increase and a percent decrease. You may already recognize that by anytime you purchase something, there is tax involved. Sometimes shipping and handling will be a percentage. So the increase would be a tax. If you have, if you're purchasing something and then you're multiplying by the percent of the tax, you would multiply that by the 5% tax or the 2% tax, get that amount and add it back on. The decrease is the same way, except we're going to subtract it, and that's the example that we're going to do. So if I want a coat, and the coat is on sale at 20% off the marked price, and the marked price is $79.95. I want to know, well, what's the sale price? All right, well, the trick here is the sale is 20% of the marked price, and of means times. So the marked price is $79.95, and 20% of that is my decrease. So of means times, so I'm going to change the 20% to a decimal and take 0.2, because 0.20 is the same as 0.2, and I'm going to multiply that. 5 5 are 10, 18, 19, 9 9 18, 19 again, 7 7 14, 15, and 3 decimal places. So 15.99. Now the 15.99 is the amount of the decrease. So it's the amount of my discount. Once I get this amount, then I go back and I say, well, $79.95 was the original amount, and what I'm going to get off is the $15.99. So I'm going to subtract the $15.99 from the original price. So remember, with a tax, we added on our percentage. With something on sale or a decrease, I'm going to take that amount off. So then we're going to borrow 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is 16, or 6, not 16, and got to borrow again. 8, 9 is 9, 3, 6, 63.96 is how much I'm going to actually pay for that coat. Not a bad deal, right? All right, so with an increase or decrease, you find the percent of the increase or decrease. So find the amount by multiplying the percent times the original, and then you add it if it's an increase or subtract it if it's a decrease. All right, one more type of problem we've got, and this is a percent increase or a percent decrease. So if I want the percent of the increase or decrease, if you know the amount and you want to go back to finding the percent, what you've got to do is you've got to find the difference. The difference between the first price and the last price, and then you're going to divide that by the original. And let's do one so that I can show you what I mean. So the price of jet fuel in 2007 was $2.10. And then in 2008, the price jumped to $2.85. Well, I want to know, well, that's a significant increase, but what is the percent of the increase? All right, so what we're going to do is this. First, we find the difference. So the difference, what is the increase or the decrease? So we started at 210 and we ended at 285. So to find the difference of anything, you subtract. That's what difference means. So you take the 285 and subtract the 210 to find how much is the increase. So 75 cents is the increase. That's the amount of the increase. To find the percent of the increase, I'm going to take the 75 cents and divide it by the original price. So the original price was the price in 2007. So that's the 210. And when I divide that, which I did with my calculator earlier, when I divide that, I get 0.375. I'm sorry, 0.357 is what I got. Yes. And so the question, though, is what is the percent of the increase? So you change your decimal to a percent by moving that decimal 2 places over. So the percent of the increase is 35.7%. All right, so this is the trickiest one, and it might be one that you haven't done before. I think all of the rest you've done before. So to get the percent of the increase or the percent of the decrease, find the difference. So subtract the two numbers. All right, the beginning from the ending, or what's the greatest minus the least, that's your difference. And then divide that by the original. So if it's an increase like this, then you're going to take the smaller number. But if it's a decrease, it's actually going to start with the larger number. But whatever it is, you're looking for the original price or the original amount or the original number. All right. Right. Let's see. There we go. That was percents. You can do it. See you soon.